Well, hello and welcome to our test of the what will be the rural broadband discussion that we'll be doing in a couple of weeks. I'm Curtis Dean. That's Bill Minner with the Iowa Rural Development Council. I think, Bill, I said I would start with this camera here, and then I didn't do it because I messed something up before we started. But that's why we test, right?
That is right.
That is correct. So I don't know if anybody's watching yet, but the communications team leaders at the Greater Des Moines Partnership, that we're doing this test so that they can kind of see what this whole platform looks like. And we'll kind of pretend we're doing this, but right now, obviously, this is not the sort of banter we'd have during an actual telecast, so to speak. So if you are watching with a partnership, you can type a comment in on YouTube. And when you do that, I can actually bring that comment up and show it on the screen. So that's the way, when we do these public-facing meetings, that's the way we will communicate back with folks. So I already kind of introduced you to Bill Minner. There he is again. Hey, Bill.
Curtis.
And then there's Todd Kilkoff.
Todd
is
Hey, Bill.
Hey.
part of the consulting team that is helping out with the Central Iowa Broadband Internet's survey and study. So this is an example of what it looks like when all three of us are on the screen. Or we can do this, and then I can minimize the two of you, and I can be the lead speaker, or I could have Bill be the lead speaker as a solo. And so again, we're just kind of demonstrating this. So if with no further ado, I want to, and let me do this. No, not you, me. There we go. And so I'm going to play a little video to show how that works, as that'll be something that I'll do during the actual telecast. So this is a little video, and when the video goes on, like we're talking right now, right? And our microphones are on, but when the video goes live, it mutes our microphones automatically. So I'm going to play this little video.
It tells us that too.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's really nice.
I want to tell you my secret now. I see.
How does this circle make you feel? Do you want to know what Haley Joel Osment says in The Sixth Sense? What about this noise? For many Americans, slow internet or no internet is still a reality, and the internet speed in Nashville, Tennessee might not be as fast in Nashville, Kansas. Besides missing Stranger Things, having a slow connection can mean increased health risks, a limited education, or having less money, all of which creates a divided country, because the fact is, all American internet is not equal. In 2015, the FCC defined broadband as internet with download speeds of at least 25 megabits per second and uploads of at least 3. That basically means a constant connection capable of streaming videos, sending messages, and transferring data on multiple devices. Overall, 10% of Americans don't have broadband, but rural areas suffer most. 39% of rural Americans, about 23 million people, don't have high-speed internet. This map shows where broadband is available and areas it has yet to reach. In places where broadband adoption is higher, so is the number of people who have earned a college degree. Fewer people are unemployed, and the rates of poverty are also lower. Without fast internet, rural Americans have a difficult time accessing government services like Medicare. And as education moves online, students struggle to complete assignments at home. In a few rural districts, superintendents have loaded school buses with Wi-Fi and parked them overnight in neighborhoods where kids need it to do their homework. These communities would benefit from broadband. So why don't they have it? In cities, most broadband is wireline, which typically means it is delivered through fiber optic cables that have been laid in the ground. Laying cables is expensive, but there's an incentive for providers. High population density means hundreds of people pay to access the same network. In rural areas, that's not the case. So large telecoms like AT&T and Comcast don't prioritize extending cable lines if they only reach a few people.
And that was the video I was going to show. And I may get a different video before we actually do the broadcast, but I like that because it does the whole video, mutes us. We don't have to do anything. We can just sit there and watch it. And when it's done, it immediately goes back to whatever the last shot was. So,
Okay.
So great. So, hey, Bill, tell us what you see as some of the primary issues with rural broadband in central Iowa.
Oh, that video is nice, but boy, 25.3 is a pretty low threshold to hit.
It
I'd
is
love
today,
to
isn't it?
love to do the research that tells us what the difference is between those who have 25.3 and those who have 100, 110, or whatever
Right.
the upload speed is. But what's the minimum? What's going to keep rural communities competitive? It's not 25.3. It's not 16.1, or it's making these strategic investments in rural places that don't have that sort of access, that eliminates the digital divide. And
Right.
one of the biggest challenges that is the maps are misleading.
Yes, they are, and they're not complete. And I wanted to talk about maps, and so that was a great lead-in to our little discussion here. This is a map of the area that is being covered by the Central Iowa Broadband Internet Study and Survey. And so this is the 11 counties that we are measuring through the survey and trying to get more granular data on. This is the map of the primarily the same region, not quite exactly the same boundaries, but this is from the folks at the Connected Nation. And this is the Iowa broadband map as of last October. So when we talk about maps and mapping and map accuracies, one of the challenges that this study and survey are designed to address is to get more granular data so we can make these maps more sharply defined. As you can see, those maps are, pretty blocky. It's kind of like looking at a picture where there's only 10 pixels. It looks pretty blocky, but if you had 1,000 pixels, you're going to suddenly see a lot clearer picture. You might even be able to see what the actual thing a picture is of. One of the things I think is interesting about this broadband map, I'll clear this out. So this is just the blank map, right? There is no broadband overlay here. But if we look at this is areas, wherever you see a shaded area are areas that have, according to the current mapping, 25 megabits per second download by 3 megabits per second upload, which is fantastic. But as you just mentioned, Bill, that may not be exactly enough for people. And also, as you can see, because this is all measured in census blocks, if only one person in that, say this census block here, if only one person on the edge of it has broadband at 25 by 3, then the map considers everybody else in that entire census block to also have that coverage. And we know for a fact that's not true. So that's one of the things that these the broadband survey is designed to do, is people actually be taking a speed test so we can better measure actual speeds delivered speeds, not advertised speeds, at individual addresses. So you mentioned something very interesting too, Bill. You mentioned that 25 by 3, we're beginning to feel that that's just not adequate for people for various reasons. Well, if you look at what's available 100 by 10, so 100 megabits per second download, 10 megabits per second upload, you can see a lot more unshaded areas there. And a lot of areas where, there's service here, but not across the block, not across the street. There's also quite a bit of discussion at a federal level about further changing that definition of broadband. The broadband definition of 25 by 25 by 3 was set several years ago, and it was set by the FCC. And at the time, they felt that if you had that, you were probably doing okay. Well, there's a lot of discussion right now about making that definition higher. And so if we go back into our map here, and I share that, now let's go and say what's available out there at a higher level. And what has been discussed at both the state and the federal government level is that the new definition of broadband could or perhaps should be 100 megabits per second download by 100 megabits per second upload. So as we're sitting here talking, I am uploading data to the internet to stream back out to YouTube. You are watching me on download speeds. I am pushing it out on an upload speed. So an upload speed is very important. when you look at what that new definition could be and you pull it up on this map, now there's a whole lot of unshaded area, including a lot of metro areas that are only served by providers whose technology right now is not allowing them to do that 100 megabit per second upload. And so the mapping is very important. And so what we hope to do with this study is to really help define that and bring it better into focus so that we can further define what is available where, and then policymakers and leaders can come up with plans about how to address that. So yeah, it's all about the maps right now, and this survey is going to help us really not only identify gaps in coverage by service level, but it's also going to help us identify other types of gaps, reliability gaps, affordability gaps, adoption gaps, because we know some people have access to internet but have not chosen to use it. What are the reasons why they're not using it? It's too expensive. It's not important to them, whatever. We want to identify all of those things as much as possible to really bring the central Iowa broadband internet picture into clearer focus. So this is where Todd would say something profound, but this is a test, so maybe not.
Well, I think for us, it's the example of it's like the base example of measuring competitiveness. Once we create a system, the region's going to have to figure out over the next 30 years how competitive it is at any given time in different areas. Is there a divide within the region, but also is the region competitive compared to other regions? And so the definition of underserved will just keep moving.
Yes.
And so there needs to be a platform, so it's really, to me, the cool thing is the partnership recognizing that now and saying we're going to have to make some investments to monitor the situation. Because we do it everywhere else. I applaud them for, river quality. We're looking at a whole lot of host of things of the Capital Crossroads campaign and project at the partnership level. And so now, broadband's finally getting to the, visibility, having the visibility that it needs in order to be one of the defining things that just need monitoring.
So, Bill, you were executive director of the Iowa Rural Development Council, I believe. So,
and the Iowa Rural Health Association.
And the Iowa Rural Health Association. So you got a lot of rurals in your title. What are you hearing as you talk with communities in wearing both hats, or policymakers, healthcare leaders, that sort of thing?
If you've got it, you've got it. If you don't, you're screwed. And those places that don't have it are desperate to find a solution. That's why so many municipalities are deciding we can't we can't maintain the status quo. We've got to do something different. So if the incumbent providers will not meet our future needs, we'll just have to make the strategic investment and treat this like an essential public utility.
Yep. And that's what's happened here in just this 11 county region. We have a couple of communities that have actually done that. We have both Pella, which is building a network right now, and Indianola, which already has a network. And they are, of course, decided that to make that investment at the local level and not necessarily rely on private providers, although we're not going to spike on private providers as part of these discussions because they are very important stakeholders in the discussion.
I'll make the point that in Grinnell, it was the city that sought out potential providers and reached out to somebody externally, and they made the strategic business decision to come into the city and provide fiber to every home, beginning today.
And you mentioned the construction is underway.
Well, groundbreaking is today at 1:30. They've got their phases set up, and I think they start up this is a year behind because of the pandemic, but they're going to start in Northwest Grinnell and work their way through 8 different zones.
Fantastic.
And when they're done, every house will have fiber to the home. Every house, every residence, every business will have fiber to the home.
Hey, Derek, thanks for chiming in. Eric's one of the people watching our test. So this is exactly one of the things I wanted to do to show the test further. This is how we will, when public comments come in during the actual public meetings, we'll be able to actually bring them up on screen and share that question, which I think is really important. Now, we can choose which ones to bring up, and that's the other point. So as I'm the producer, as we're doing this live, I'll vet those comments. So if somebody says something inappropriate or maybe uses this as an opportunity to slam dunk their current provider, we'll probably choose not to show those on screen. We want the comments to be helpful and on topic. So Derek, thank you for doing that. Derek's one of the members of the comms team at the partnership, and really looking forward to working with them and getting this figured out. So I think we can wrap up the test right now. The other thing to note for those of you who are watching, as soon as we end the broadcast, this is recorded, and it will then be automatically posted or kept on whatever platform we did it. Now, we're doing this test to my personal YouTube channel. If we do this for real live on, say, the partnership YouTube channel, that recording will live there forever. But I'll also be able to download a recording. So if we want to do any editing or anything like that, we can do that after the fact. Same thing, this platform also supports Facebook, LinkedIn, and you can do them all at the same time. So you could say, I want this to go live to YouTube, to Facebook, our Facebook page, and to our LinkedIn page, all at the same time. And, you know, that's really powerful too. So if you want to hit multiple platforms, again, partnership, comms team, we have to have that discussion of the logistics of how we do that. So, all right.
It's interesting to see the recording on this one to see if it's any different from the recording from before.
Oh yeah, as far as what it looks like.
Things. So,
okay, yeah. Well, just go to my YouTube channel. In addition to this fine video, you can also see other past hits such as Curtis deals with a bird in the dryer vent and others. But nobody goes to my YouTube channel except for the one. I posted a video of when the derecho moved through Grimes, and it wasn't even that bad here. It has 43,000 views. I wish I could have monetized that. But believe me, it's not worth monetizing. It's not that great, not compared to the ones from Cedar Rapids. So, okay, well, enough small talk. Bill, thanks for taking a few minutes.
You bet.
And Todd, thanks as always. And for those of you who watched the test, thank you. And we will follow up with everybody at the partnership to see how we want to make this work for real. Thank you.
Yep.
See you guys.
Yeah.